G'day everybody and welcome to Games v Reality, the podcast where we talk about all of the VR news from the last week. I'm at Victor Grey on all the socials, and with me as always is nobody because Beardy's sick. So I thought I'd make this a special video version of the podcast so you can go to YouTube or YouTube Gaming and watch this and see my face. You can also see how inadequate our microphones are, but you know, while the microphones are small, the news is big. So let's get straight into it. Beep, 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 beep. While his flesh isn't here, his spirit is, because Beardy made that theme tune, so shout out to Beardy. We got a whole bunch of news to cover. You can jump to any of it. If you go down to the description, I've put timecodes and links to all the articles that I quote. So you can just read this for yourself, because I'm not a good news source. Yeah. But well, you're here anyway, so I'm going to jump into it. We got Batman Arkham Shadow got a story trailer. It didn't show any gameplay, but it showed some story in a trailer, so that's exciting. The Quest 3 S might have got leaked by accident again, but I think it was on purpose. V66 came out, giving Quest owners some much-needed upgrades. A lot of people are excited about that. Virtual Desktop got multi-monitor support, and racing enthusiasts are loving it. We're going to talk about that as well, and a whole bunch more. So, like I said, skip to anything you like. But the first story is Batman Arkham Shadow got its first proper story trailer. Now, it doesn't have actually any gameplay in it, which is a little disappointing, but also not surprising. This thing has been announced to come out, I think it just says autumn, which is spring for me because I'm on the opposite end of the world. No gameplay trailer, it's just sort of the story. What we get out of this is the city's been taken over by the Rat King, who is basically the rat catcher. I think they released this trailer so soon after the announced trailer because people were confused about Batman fighting rats. They're like, is this a bat v rat simulator? What's going on here? I don't think a lot of people know about the character Ratcatcher, so they've released this story trailer to sort of make it a little bit clearer. Now, the Rat King isn't a character in the comics, as far as I know. I don't know. I don't read the comics that much, but I know the Ratcatcher is. So I'm thinking originally this was probably the Ratcatcher back in 2020 when they were developing this, but then Suicide Squad was out and that had a female Ratcatcher in it, and they were probably worried about confusing people, so they changed it to Rat King, because kings are boys and I guess catchers are girls. Apart from that, we don't get a lot of details, but what we do get is over on the meta page for Batman Arkham Shadow, there's a few little shots, little screenshots of actual in-game vision. We have one of Batman brooding as he stares down on some bad guys, some rat cultists, I think they're called. But the second photo is probably the most interesting one. It has a photo of what looks to be in-game combat. It's a photo of a person with their fists up fighting Batman, and you can see it's from Batman's point of view. And he's got two targets, one basically over his heart and one down over his right side near his abdomen. And it's got a 1 and a 2 on it. So it looks like it's some kind of combo hitting target thing, kind of like a rhythm-based game kind of thing. You'd hit 1, 2. I don't know if it's you need to hit them sequentially or they're just targets that you could pick. You could pick 1 or 2. The subtitle for it says, Hard-Hitting Arkham Combat. Customize how you fight. Choose from powerful weapons, favorite gadgets, bold fighting styles, and lifelike locations. How am I choosing the locations? Over the bad guy's era, he's not... I don't understand that bit. I feel like maybe the copywriters ran out of a fourth thing and they just put locations down. But the first three sound cool. It sounds like you can whip out a batarang or a smoke bomb or a stun thing. They're all the gadgets and weapons. And then bold fighting styles. I don't know whether or not you're going to be able to pick between, I don't know, being more dodgy or more punchy. I will say, supporting the dodgy side of things, in the background of this photo is a guy... Oh, I've lost it. Come back to me. Oh, there we go. But in the background of this photo, we can see one of the bad guys has a little blue dome around his head and lightning bolts coming out of it, basically looking like it's alerting you that he's about to attack. He's kind of like moving like he's running towards you. So it looks like it is taking the Batman Arkham series style fighting, which lets you fight people in front of you, and if there's an attack coming, you just hit that dodge button and you dodge out of the way and you start fighting again, or you can launch yourself to that person and counter his attack. It's a really fun fighting style, but I don't know how it's going to convert over to VR, especially because a lot of VR licensed games are really scared of putting motion into the games because they're scared it alienates a bunch of the audience who get motion sick. So I can't see them making a game where you're Batman just rolling around everywhere. I personally would love that, but I don't know. They clearly have attack alerts here, so hopefully you can dodge out of the way or counterattack or something. The 1-2 little target things I'm less excited for. I don't want a rhythm game in my Batman game, but hey, I'm interested to see how they implement it. I mean, I've no idea how I would make a Batman game. That would be too hard for me to figure out. So Camouflage has a good track history with Iron Man. I'm interested to see what they do. Now, the developers at Camouflage, they had an interview with Upload VR. It was Ryan Payton, who's the founder of Camouflage. The headline got me really excited because it said, Camouflage is testing Quest 3's power for Batman Arkham Shadow. I read it as Quest 3 S power, and I got really excited, but it's not another leak. It's just them talking about the Quest 3. Basically, he was saying they set the bar of where they want this game to be when somebody brought in Metal Gear 5, Phantom Pain, working on an Xbox 360. And he's like, how are they doing that? The Xbox 360, clearly the Quest is many times more powerful than this. So he's like, I want a high standard for this game. So that's about the bar that they wanted. But this whole article is about real-time shadow rendering, which is a weird thing to be your first interview about a Batman game, but hey, it's VR. It's a weird industry. He goes on to say, given the themes of the game, the noir aspect of Batman, the moodiness, and just how cool it looks to have real-time shadows in VR, it was one of those few times on this project where I basically got in front of the team and I said, there's no room for failure here. We have to deliver shadows. We gotta deliver shadows, guys. I know when I think about Batman, I'm like, well, if there's not real-time shadows, I'm not playing it. Batarangs? Pass. Smoke bombs? Pass. Detecting? Boring. Shadows? In real time? Yes, please. Was that too sarcastic? I feel like Beardy would be here to stop me being so sarcastic. Just listen to a previous podcast where I'm less sarcastic and just like modulate my sarcasm. I'm Australian and alone. That's 2 levels of sarcasm deep. I'm excited for this game, okay? And I'm excited that he's so passionate about shadows, okay? So take my sarcasm with a sarcastic teaspoon of sarcastic sugar. Okay, all right. Let's move on. I'm getting so sidetracked. Beardy would have stopped me from ranting by now. Good grief. The interview is really good. You should go check it out. It's on Upload VR. They've been working on this for 4 years now. They've only had real-time shadows working since 2022. That's the last 2 years. He said when he first got realistic shadows working, it was, quote, magical. When we turned on the shadows, ... he's in this hallway and there's one of these rat cultist enemy types. And I'm me, Ryan, as Batman. I'm casting a shadow onto this long hallway, onto this enemy who's screaming, oh no, it's Batman. This is amazing. So, like, when he describes that, that does sound a little bit cool. It's, imagine you know those shots where it's Batman and he's like laying on the ground, he's like crouching down, and then he slowly stands up and the shadow moves closer and closer, and then it casts over the bad guys and they're just terrified, and you just see the whites of their eyes and their silhouettes because the Batman shadows on them. If you could have that in VR, that sounds really, really cool. So I get why he's so excited. We obviously haven't seen any in-game shadows yet. I'm excited to see what they actually look like, but this guy is absolutely pumped. He thinks you're going to love it. He ends this interview with a quote saying, you look down, you can see the Batarang slot on your chest, your legs. The team has done a great job to remind the player that when you look down, they look like Batman. You feel like Batman, which is exactly what a developer needs to do to get IGN to give you a 7 out of 10. Now all they need to do is give you the exaggerated swagger of a man who's had his parents killed by the scum of Gotham. That's a 10 out of 10. I wish someone was here to laugh at my jokes. But let's move on. The Quest 3 has been leaked again. Well, kind of, sort of, maybe. I think it was on purpose. Okay. So recently this week, V66 came out. It's the Horizon OS update, V66. I think that's what they call it now. But Meta's CTO, Andrew Bosworth, which is the coolest name ever, he posted a video on Threads, and it's now up on the official Meta page for the update, showing off improved warping for the pass-through. I'm going to talk about that later, but in the background of the video, you can very clearly see a headset that's not quite a Quest 3, but it's also not a Quest 2. It's thicker than a Quest 3 and thinner than a Quest 2. So a lot of people are like, is this the Quest 3S? Has this been leaked? If you look at the image, people have zoomed it in. It's got some kind of Elite strap on it. It's not the regular strap, so this isn't like a product that you're probably going to be able to buy as is, but it's definitely not a Quest 3. So people are like, have they accidentally shown us off what the Quest 3S looks like? I got a feeling this is 100% on purpose. There's no way this is by accident. They know what they're doing when they do stuff like this, but it's got everybody excited. 3 weeks ago, we had somebody post leaked specs of the Quest 3S. And then last week, we had a storefront named the Quest 3S as a compatible device, and then that was quickly taken down. And then this week, they've shown off an image in the background. I think maybe the first two were not on purpose, but this last one, definitely, they're doing this to get people excited. And I think they're doing that because just after that video was released, they announced that the Meta Connect 2024 Developer Conference is announced for September 25 and 26. So I'm reading this off Road to VR. They have an official announcement. The Meta Connect is where they announce a lot of apps, a lot of cool games, but they also announce hardware. So people are expecting September 25th is when they're going to drop the announcement for the Quest 3S. And that makes a lot of sense if you think about when they want to sell the Quest 3S. People believe it's meant to be a cheaper version of the Quest 3. I know Beardy has said he wants a Quest 3, but he doesn't want to fork out the cash. So if there was a slightly cheaper version, he's happy to have Fresnel lenses, but have a Quest 3 chip and color pass-through. So he would get the Quest 3S if it came out. So if they announce it in September, then you would imagine they would be able to get it in production, if it's not already in production, and get it shipping for mid-December, maybe early December, which is perfect time for Christmas. So September makes a lot of sense for them to be announcing the actual headset itself. You can read the article yourself. Nothing's set in stone, but it makes a lot of sense that, yeah, hopefully we get Quest 3S official news so I don't have to talk about all of the made-up rumors that people love to talk about, including me. Another thing people are loving or hating to talk about, I can't quite tell just yet, is the Hitman 3 announcement trailer. So Hitman 3 was a smash hit game on consoles, and it's just been announced that they're making Hitman 3 VR Reloaded. This is a complete rebuild of Hitman 3. It's not like they're just patching it to port it over to the Quest 3. This is going to be bottom to ground to top, floor to top. They're remaking the entire game so it can run natively on the Quest 3, which sounds fantastic. But unfortunately, audiences did not react quite as well as maybe they were hoping, which is kind of in line with most Hitman games. I feel like the audience always is disappointed by Hitman games one way or another. But the trailer looks really cool because it's all cinematic, except for 2 or 3 shots that are in-game. And people are saying this is such a huge downgrade from the original Hitman 3 to this Quest 3 version. Some of the comments are like, wow, the transition from photorealistic to N64 era graphics was pretty jarring. Maybe not the best idea there, lol. And I kind of have to agree. Batman released an announcement trailer, which was just a tease. People were a little confused about the rats, so then they released a cinematic story trailer, which is just story. But we haven't seen a lot of gameplay stuff because the reality is this is basically a souped-up mobile phone. The Quest 3 is not a PC, and the graphics are never going to be that good. So it makes sense for them to get people hyped for the game before you actually see gameplay of the game. Hitman 3's taken a different route. They're trying to do 2 things at once, and it looks like audiences are not reacting well. I feel for them. Personally, I'm excited for Hitman 3 because it's a sandbox where like the jank is kind of a feature. You get to like be absurd in the way you kill people, and a low-res version of that I don't think is going to be any less fun. But to put it in the announcement trailer, I think maybe was a misstep, and there might be a hit out on the marketing team for this game, as the best Hitman joke I could come up with. Virtual Desktop has multi-monitor support now. This is kind of cool. People are excited for this because you can have one 1440p monitor on the Quest 3 and then 2 more monitors. They can either be monitors that are connected to your actual PC or they can be virtual monitors. So if you only have one tiny rinky-dink screen, you can blow it up to a 1440p screen and then 2 more imaginary 1440p screens. I've seen a lot of people, like, they're marketing it for productivity and like the picture on it literally is someone looking up photos of birds, someone on Google Earth, and then someone looking at graphs. Like, this is not what we want virtual desktop for. The people that are using this properly, they're using it to play rally games. I'm seeing a lot of people playing race car games where their front monitor is the main monitor, where they have the steering wheel display and all of that. And then their 2 side monitors are basically creating a wraparound screen. They're lining up all the screens so it's one continuous screen, so they get sort of as close as you can get to VR on a 2D racing game. That's what they should be marketing this as. But, you know, graphs are exciting too. Good for them. Upload VR has a handy little graph here where you can see what the Quest 2 and 3 can do. Basically, the Quest 3 can do 3 monitors and the Quest 2 can do 2 monitors. The max resolution on the Quest 3 is 1440p, and then the max resolution on the Quest 2 is 1080p, which makes sense. It's an older chip, so it's not able to push graphics quite as far. Obviously, everybody thinks multi-monitor support should have happened ages ago, but like, I don't know how to develop that, and obviously this is a big achievement, so good work, Virtual Desktop. You get a virtual clap. Imagine there's 2 more virtual clappers clapping. There's not just me, it's 2 more of us. The Beardy's clapping in bed. Or at least I hope that noise is clapping. Moving on, do you know what else he's probably doing in bed? Watching Netflix, because Meta has just allowed Quest users to watch Netflix from the browser. So if you didn't know, Netflix has an app on the Meta Quest store, but it's kind of trash. It only allows 480p video, whatever standard definition is. Is it 480p? It's 360p, 480p, and then, yeah, it's one of the Ps. But it's pretty trash to be in your Quest 3 and only be able to watch 480p. Netflix doesn't seem to be updating this anytime soon, so Meta has stepped in and is like, well, we'll do it ourselves. They've added support, so now you can just use the browser to go to Netflix and just watch a regular Netflix on the browser, upping that resolution. This is a nice thing to hear from Meta. I currently use Disney Plus through the browser and it's fantastic. I have Prime app on the Quest 3 because Prime through the browser is a little bit stuttery, I've noticed, and hopefully that'll be fixed. But at the moment, Prime is better through the app, but Netflix just is not very good through the app. So I'm excited to see this roll out. I think it might be up now. If it's not up now, it's coming very, very soon. So keep an eye out for that. Also to keep an eye out is MetaQuest has just released V66. I don't have it yet because Meta does rolling updates. So some people get it and the next people and the next people. And I live in Australia, so I'm at the bottom of the list. But there are a whole bunch of things they've added to this. First and foremost is improved pass-through. This is the video the Boz posted, and he's showing his hand tracking, and the warping around his hand is way, way better in V66 compared to V65. Whether or not that's going to translate for everybody is yet to be seen, but I'm already really impressed with V65's warping. It's not too jarring compared to what it used to be back when I had a Quest 2 in the previous versions. So any improvements are going to be great. Personally, I don't think hand tracking's quite there yet with the Quest systems. So like, please keep improving it. I'm excited to see further improvements. Apparently they've tweaked background audio. So now you can go to a browser, open up Spotify, maybe, I don't know, listen to GamesVReality, and then open up an app, and you'll still be able to listen to that podcast or music in the background. I've been wanting this more and more the more I spend time in the Quest 3 doing productivity stuff like editing. I literally edit on my iPad with the Quest 3, so being able to listen to podcasts in the background would be really cool. Another cool feature that they talked about is they've added, instead of pinching with your fingers to open the menus, you can now just press your palm. There's little buttons that'll attach to your palms. I think this is fantastic. Like I said, I don't really like the hand, I do like the hand tracking, it's great, but it's sometimes a little finicky. So to have little palm buttons, I think that's going to be really, really fantastic. I'm most excited for the buttons, if I'm being completely honest. There's a whole bunch more updates coming for that. I think they have some parental supervision updates. They're also allowing you to hide apps in your library. Now, I'm not saying that you'll have suspicious apps that you're hiding. What I'm saying is, you know how you download demos or you'll get a free trial for 30 minutes, but you don't end up buying the game and stuff like that? They stay in your library forever. And so if you're looking for an app you want to load onto your Quest, you have to trudge through all of this stuff that you're never going to open again. The app might have been not what you expected, but you're stuck with it. It's just in your library. Now you can hit the little hamburger and hit hide from library, and they'll just disappear from that feed, and you'll have a little tab that'll allow you to see everything that's hidden if you want to do that too. I've heard firsthand people say they don't try demos of games because they don't want it clogging up their library. So this is a pretty good idea from Meta. Not something that I would have thought of, but clearly somebody at Meta hates demos, and they're like, I'm just going to do it myself. Oh yeah, there's two more things with the update. One is you can access videos and photos through the Meta website instead of having to have your headset and your phone and your app and blah, blah, blah. Now you can just log into the website and download stuff. I think that's pretty cool because I'm using screen capturing more and more as I do more of this YouTube stuff. So it's going to be good for me to be able to, maybe I'm out on the road and I want to just quickly edit a video, and I can download previous stuff in my gallery and start editing with it. So kudos for that. The other big thing is they've made some improvements with the way that you set up a space and Meta scans your room. Now it will identify furniture and it'll also label it for you as well. I found the V65 version of this really impressive. Recently I've been playing some Demeo, which I'll talk about later, and I walked into a room, I scanned it quickly, it found the table, I set it up for 2 headsets, and I played with another person in a space in augmented reality, so we could both see each other and the board game as well. It was really cool, so I'm excited to see how V66 improves that whole process, because the scanning and AR stuff I'm absolutely loving for MetaQuest at the moment, so yay for that. Another few quick things to talk about. Beardy was going to talk about how Bonelabs had its first update in more than a year. I'm not too up to speed on this because he did all the research, and now I got to talk about it. But this is the first update they've done. I think it's number 4. Yeah, it's number 4. It adds a whole bunch of things. It says it alongside a greatly increased texture cache. Patch 4 also includes 4x anti-tropic. Oh boy. Oh god. So many VR terms here. Anisotropic filtering, improved foveated rendering, so on and so forth. But it also has SDK improvements. These focus on mod level creation and additional assets for level creators. They also say the zone system has been completely rebuilt for level creation, entity tracking, and performance optimization. It's great that they're supporting modders. I know when it was first announced, there was a lot of concern that maybe tampering with the SDK might affect mods that have already been released. So we'll have to see what the fallout is. Beardy might have info on that, but we'll have to wait till next week when he's better. But I also know that modders were desperate for any form of update from Bonelabs. It's been a long time since their last update, and as far as I know, not a lot of information has come directly from the developers. I think I watched an hour-long video on YouTube like 6 months ago talking about the lack of developer communication has been frustrating for modders. One thing that people are worried about it might affect is Boneworks. It's been modded into Bonelabs. You can now play all of Boneworks on Bonelabs, which is an impressive feat because Boneworks is a PC VR exclusive and it's running on Quest 3 natively. So that's super impressive. We'll have to see if this update affects that mod because I kind of want to check it out. I also have some sad news I need to talk about. Somebody on Reddit posted that their Rift S is now officially dead. That's right. And it's all because Meta no longer makes the cable for the Rift S. So Mediocre Voice 9325 posted on r/Oculus, my Rift S is now a paperweight because Meta doesn't make the cable anymore. They describe a bunch of tracking problems and display problems that their Rift S has been having, and basically the whole headset and controllers are in good condition, but the cable isn't working. And Meta support basically has some copy-paste answers for them for troubleshooting, but no real solutions to fix it. They say, this is particularly sad because the cable is in pristine condition. I've kept great care of it. There's no kinks and no bends visible anywhere along the length of the cable. I've tried contacting Meta support for cable replacement, but they seem to be ignoring me now after suggesting me a bunch of copy-pasted troubleshooting steps. The whole headset and controllers are in good condition too. It's really a shame that a good VR headset with perfectly working hardware is now utterly useless. Yeah, that's pretty sad. This particular person only had it for 2 years. They bought it in 2022. So they only got 2 years of use out of the headset, which is like, that's not very good. I've had the Quest 2 for a while now, and I only upgraded to the Quest 3 because it was new and shiny, but I'm expecting to get at least 4 years out of this to get me to the Quest 4. So if it died after 2 years and I didn't get any support from Meta, I'd be pretty upset. Obviously, the Rift S is at the end of its life cycle. I think it's about 1% of Steam VR use, but man, that's super sad. A few people in the comments said they had a similar experience. The OP said he's looking for other Rift S's he could buy cheaply off eBay and then cannibalize the cables to keep his Rift S working for longer. And then somebody else was like, man, Meta was kind of in a tough spot because the factory that makes that cable stopped making the cable. And there's just no factory that would start a whole new production for such a small amount of cables that Meta would need to service the remainder of the Rift S's out there. So if you have a Rift S and it's working, be super careful with everything about it because you probably won't be able to get replacement parts in the future, which is sad times. I've got a bunch of other stories that I want to talk about. Like around the corner from where I live, there's some researchers that have developed super thin night vision glasses. Like they take IR light and normal color light and then make it night vision-y, but they're like the profile of regular glasses, and I think that's super cool. And a bunch of other stories. Acer's come out with some 3D designed laptops. They're like built for 3D, and they're also releasing a 3D camera with like interpupillary distance cameras so you can make spatial like video. I want to talk about all of that stuff next week when Beardy's back because I get excited about this stuff. I love spatial video at the moment. I don't really like VR 180 3D or VR 360 3D. I don't think we're quite there yet with our internet or bandwidth or codecs or anything like that. I think spatial video like stuff is the way to go. Like side-by-side video is the way to go for VR at the moment. And so cameras like this coming out gets me excited. I want someone to talk to. So please remember to hit follow or subscribe if you're on YouTube so you can hear me rant to Beardy about that next week. That's everything. That's all I got. That's all of the news. I want to talk about what I'm doing in VR and what he's doing in VR, but he's not here. So I'll just say I've been playing Demeo. I know I'm late to the party, but I've been using the Quest 3 with pass-through to scan the room, find furniture, set it up, and then play AR with the other person I'm playing Demeo with in the room. So if you don't know what Demeo is, it's like a turn-based RPG game where you're moving characters around a map and then battling people as you go. But it has an AR mode where it puts the board in physical space and you can look around the table and look at the pieces and decide where to go. But you can also play multiplayer that way. So two people are in the same space looking at the same table and moving around. It's been an incredible experience. Quest 3 pass-through is honestly the number one selling point for this thing. The better lenses is great, but if the Quest 2 had color pass-through, I would have just been happy with the Quest 2. Honestly, it's so fantastic. So if you haven't done it already and you have a Quest 3 or anything with color pass-through, try Demeo. It really is a fantastic little game. Or a big game? No, it's little because it's little on the table. It's a fantastic little game, physically little. A big development in a little game. Oh, I don't know. That's all I got. If you'd like to leave any comments, please go to YouTube or YouTube Music and leave a comment. I really appreciate everybody that left comments on the last episode. Or you can contact us at GamesVRealityPod@gmail.com. Whew. Beardy's normally the one that remembers that, so that was a bit of a struggle. All right, okay, GamesVRealityPod@gmail.com is where you can send us emails. Please tell us when we're wrong, because we're wrong all the time, and people complaining about mistakes you've made is a great way to increase your engagement. So please let us know we're wrong. Remember to follow, and we'll be back, hopefully the two of us, next week. Goodbye.